morning.
The greatest thing one should
You
learn
all
is
most welcome to Mill Hill Formation House YouTube channel. And today we are privileged to host our General Superior, Bwire Victor Masanyu, to take you through this interview along with my colleague.
Thank you very much, Victor. My name is Otieno Stanley Peter Odhiambo, and I'm a Mill Hill student, and we are privileged this morning to have our visitor whom will introduce himself. Thank you.
At this point, I'll invite our visitor, our guest, our General Superior, to introduce himself.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's a privilege for me to be here as well, because I've worked in this country for about 17, 20 years. And so to come back again is like coming home. Michael Corcoran is my name. I come from the southeast of Ireland. So I'm Irish by birth. And I grew up there near a Mill Hill Formation Centre secondary school. And I went to that secondary school and I became interested in joining the Mill Hill way of life from there. So in 1978, we were asked to do philosophy, study of philosophy in the Netherlands. And then on from the Netherlands, we went to do theology in London. And during that time in London, when I was doing theology, we split the studies, and I took 2 years in pastoral experience in Kenya amongst the people of Kisii. And then I returned in '84 to London to complete my theology. Following that, I was ordained missionary priest in my home parish in Ireland in 1985. I had received my appointment, and it wasn't back to Kenya. I thought I would be reappointed back to Kenya, but I was appointed actually to Uganda. And I didn't know anything about Uganda really, only that it was once ruled by Idi Amin Dada. But then I found myself going to the northeastern part of Uganda amongst the people of Teso, so the Teso tribe, and I found myself working there for 12 years. First 2 years in the parish in Kiere, and then the last 10 years in the urban setting of Soroti Cathedral Parish. I was asked then to move on from there by the leadership of the society to take up studies in Dublin. And following that, I was reappointed back to Uganda. This time I was appointed to Mbiko, just over the Nile, as a vocations director for Uganda. So I spent 2 to 3 years moving all over this country, trying to encourage people to join our way of life. And yes, there was a very good response. Many came to our Come and See, some joined us, and others left, but we felt that we had given them also some direction in life. So after a few years then, I think it was 3 years, I was asked to move again. See, missionaries, we move. So you pitch your tent here, and then you pick your tent and you pitch it somewhere else. So we moved to Kisumu as the regional for East Africa for us Mill Hill Missionaries, that is Kenya and Uganda. And then in 2005, at our general chapter, I was asked to, we were elected to look after the African desk. So I was asked to be the Councillor for Africa 2005-2010. After that, I moved back to Ireland for 4 years, where I was asked to be a regional superior for the Mill Hill Missionaries in Ireland. And 2015, I found myself elected Superior General. And that's where I am today. So with 2005 to 2023, where we are, it's been mainly administration. So, and I miss work, because it was what I was ordained, I thought, to do, and I really enjoyed it, but I had to take on this role because leadership is necessary, guiding the society, together with others, of course, not just myself. So that, in a nutshell, is Michael Gerard Corcoran.
Now that we have known who you are, what would you describe as your experience, one as a priest in Africa, specifically in Uganda, and as the General Superior, do you have those key moments that you had as a priest and General Superior?
Well, first of all, as a priest, I worked here in this country full-time 17 years. And it was a very difficult moment in the history of the area I worked in because they were going through an insurgency with the government of the day, the central government of this country. So our outreach was to be a voice for people who didn't have a voice, so they had run away from their property, their animals had been taken, so their way of life had changed as well, because many of the customs and the rituals was around having cattle keeping, but that was all gone. So all the animals were taken, and people were suffering due to the insurgency that developed in Teso region at that time. So we found ourselves being there, being with the people, offering hope, being a voice, and at the same time ensuring that the gospel message was coming across, so that we were, that's the first task of a missionary. Our first task is to proclaim the gospel. And if we lose that sense of proclaiming the gospel, then we become a sort of an NGO, but we're more than that. So whilst we looked after people bodily, because there was need for help, rehabilitation, food supplies, medical, which were coming in from different departments, so from the government of Uganda, but also from outside. We also had to make sure that we weren't just providing things for people, that we were actually being missionary, proclaiming the gospel, bringing people together, celebrating the sacraments, and creating community. So that was the role of being a priest in Teso at that time, and I enjoyed that very much. I lived in a town, and as you know, in an urban setting, you just don't have one particular group. There are so many different groups. So they were coming from all over Uganda, and I was very privileged to be able to be part of it. Then in 2015, I became the General Superior, and that gave me a wider horizon, much wider. So if you look at Teso, it was very narrow in the sense of you were dealing with a small group of people. Now your vision had expanded, so you were taking responsibilities outside of that area in different countries. So as far away as New Zealand, Brazil, Philippine Islands, in Asia. So, and here in Uganda, of course, or in East Africa, and also South Africa, West Africa with Cameroon. So the vision had expanded. I found it very fulfilling because I've come in at a time when many of our elders, so the European missionaries of long ago, have either returned home or they're very elderly. And the new generation now are Africans and Asians coming from the very countries where we evangelize. So if you go to those countries now, you'll find a small crop of young missionaries born in Africa, born in Asia, and now doing the very same as we did, crossing boundaries. So if you're looking for a wow moment, that would be my wow moment. That here we have young men committed to mission, crossing boundaries, language, culture, food, and being missionary as we were.
Father, could you describe your role and responsibilities as the General Superior of the Mill Hill Society?
Well, I suppose the main role is to try and keep it all together. That would be the big thing. So we have our constitutions, we have the various policies that have developed over many years, we have our continuous renewal programs, chapters, and they all help to give us direction. So from those constitutions, from the direction given by the last chapter in 2022, we have a blueprint to guide the society for the next 5 years. Now, I've been doing it for 8 or 9 years because the first 5 years, and then we had 2 years of COVID, so there were extra 2 years. But the policies laid down by the chapter, the directions, recommendations, are what we follow. So I have an overview of the society, but I'm not doing it on my own. We are a team. So we have a team leadership. So I have one young man, Jerry Hasty, who used to be rector here. He's our Vicar General. Then we have 2 from the very countries where we evangelize. So one from Kenya, Philippa Dede, and one from the Philippine Islands, Bernie Luna. And together we sit, we meet, we visit, we animate, we encourage the society in the blueprint that we've been given by the Chapter 2022. So it's working together, team ministry, and that is where I find myself. And traveling, of course, I've just come back from a 5-day visit to Karamoja, and there we have a very young team, both in the 2 parishes where we work. And it's just being with our brothers there, our students as well, and encouraging them and assuring them of our continued support, assuring them of our continued connection, communication in all that they do. And I left Karamoja feeling that, yes, this is the place we're supposed to be. This is mission. This is on the edge. So I felt that our founder, Cardinal Vaughan, would want us to be in a place like Karamoja. It doesn't mean that he wouldn't want us to be other places as well, but because my recent visit has been to Karamoja, amongst the semi-nomadic tribe who move around with their cattle and their herds, but yet we are there. We're amongst them. It's what I might call a ministry of presence. So when I come to this point that you're mentioning, that's the way I see myself, encouraging that ministry, encouraging our men, because there are times when people get disillusioned, when challenges get too much. But there's also joy, there's also happiness, and there's also a way ahead.
How do you and your council prioritize and manage the various initiatives and projects within the society to align with its mission and values?
Well, the mission for us is very clear: go where the need is greatest. That's number one. And because we go to where the need is greatest, we have to look at individuals and communities, not just from a spiritual point of view. We look at them holistic. So wherever you go, and this is very common of Mill Hill Missionaries and many other congregations and societies as well, that wherever we go, we try to establish facilities which are also educational, which are also health, in particular those two, but also literacy programs. There's also awareness programs like HIV/AIDS, even the whole COVID experience that we've had in 2020-22. So it's looking at the person as a whole, looking at the community as a whole, and hoping that in our small, humble way that we can be agents of providing healthcare, providing education. And Jesus and the gospel are for people, to look out for people. So we do that by looking at them, gathering them around the table of the Lord, of course, celebrating the sacraments, but also ensuring that they have dignity for their way of life as well. So whether it's in Karamoja or in Jinja or in any other part of the Mill Hill world, that we have to be very aware that we're not just there for purely spiritual, but we're also there to build up the people as a whole and create communities. So for example, I'll give you another example of Karamoja. There's lots of things happening. We pray for peace in the church. We pray for peace. But we also have to go out and work for peace. It won't just come because we sit in church. We have to go out and work for that peace. Ensure that people come together. Ensure people are in dialogue. Ensure people are communicating with each other in order to bring about that peace where the church can grow and where civil society can grow.
You said that you've been fostering unity amongst the Mill Hill Missionaries as you try to provide the basic necessities to the communities. So this may make me ask you how you foster this unity among the members of the society, now that we have people with different personalities, and how do you foster it, respecting their talents and everything that they...
Well, one, we encourage internationalism in our communities. So whether it's in South Africa or whether it's in Karamoja or the Philippines, we try to have an international grouping.
In today's rapidly evolving technology landscape, how do you see the role of technology in supporting and advancing the mission as far as our charism and outreach is concerned?
I encourage it 100%. In the recent synod in Rome, it came across very strongly that we must use modern technology in order to reach people where they are. Not everybody comes to church anymore, certainly in the Western world, so technology will reach them. I noticed that even during COVID, when people weren't able to go to church because they couldn't because of the virus, we used modern technology to reach them. And so many people who were not church-going people or who lost a communication or a contact with the church found themselves now realigned again. Myself, as a General Superior, I use the technology all the time to contact our missions, contact our people in missionary countries, and also to keep a pace with the church and developments in the church as well. So if you follow the internet, you follow the various media platforms, then you will be able to keep in touch and update it as well. But I was very surprised when, during the COVID, I saw many of our young, particularly our young Mill Hill missionaries, using the social media platforms to get their message across to people. And I think they surprised themselves because they didn't realize that they were so professional in a way that they could do this. So COVID, I know it's a very bad thing and many people have died, but it also had its good point. We actually were able to use now technology in a very fruitful way. So I encourage it. Holy Father, Pope Francis, encourages it strongly. He said we must use everything at our disposal. So not just people coming into the church, but outside the church as well.
What advice, now that Mill Hills as a society is growing, and there are very many young men who are aspiring to become members of this noble society. So what would be your advice to them?
Use the time that you have well here in formation. Use it well to be able to integrate with each other and also to complete your studies. Because very often when you go out on mission, you might not get an opportunity again to take on studies for quite some time. It took me 12 years after my ordination to get back into the classroom again. So it's very important that we use the time here in this center, so philosophy, and when you move on to theology as well. Use it well, learn, and also to integrate amongst yourselves the different communities that come from the different backgrounds, because you will end up one day in an international community. You will end up working together alongside a Kenyan, a Ugandan, a Filipino, a Congolese. You will be working together. So it's good to be able to understand people and their culture while you're at this stage of formation, because also you young men, you can take it on board. But when you get older, we tend to have a sort of a firm mindset that sometimes we find it difficult to change. But here now you're at this stage of your life, and it's important that you use these opportunities, given towards being a missionary priesthood.
You've talked of preparing to go to the mission, and you told us you've been in Uganda for a long time. The missionary, I'm sure you learned the local language. Are there some phrases, some words that you still remember?
I was only sent to Tesoland, so we were asked to learn the local language there. Use the word fluent. I would never use the word fluent, because while you're able to communicate in a very basic way, and maybe even above basic, you're always learning. I think the last day I left Uganda, I would also have learned new words in the Ateso language. So you never stop learning. But each year allows you to go deeper into the language. And learning the language is such an important tool. And I say this to our students who are on a missionary experience program. I say to them, you must have the language because the tool which will allow you to communicate with different people. Now, I'm only going to say Lokasuban Kisirengijo, Kisirengesikere, which means God bless you all. God bless you, and God bless you. Kikote Nepene.
Thank you so much, Father. Any last words for our viewers, Hill world and the world at large?
Well, I'm very privileged to be able to visit everybody in the Mill Hill world. That's number one. So, and to encourage them in their mission and in their work. Please, we're here to guide the society. So this General Council guides the society, and we ask for your help, your trust, and your discernment in guiding us to do that work well on behalf of the society.
We're privileged to have hosted you today, and please enjoy your stay in Uganda. You already said you're feeling at home because you've been here for quite some time. Enjoy your stay, and as the students here and the whole team, the whole community, we pledge to continue praying for you and your entire council. For our viewers, thank you so much for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Please share with other members. If you know someone who has not yet subscribed, please send out our link, subscribe, and like the videos. Thank you very much. And as our Spirit said, God bless you all.